was just going through the day, going to my classes. And it was when I was at lunch. I was at lunch and I turned around. Everybody was like, come sit with me. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to go over here and sit by myself. Not because I didn't like them or anything, but I just built a neural pathway of being intentional. And I know that's small, but that was the first step in finding the new me, finding the healing I was looking for. That was the first step. A me that doesn't constantly react to their environment. I was a good reactor. I was a good reactor. I got really emotional and got worked up before I even knew facts so many times. A good jumping to conclusioner. And eventually, it worked out to the me that knows what's best for myself and doesn't need validation from other people. Which, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. That'll take the weight of the world off your shoulder. A me that wasn't on autopilot. It's called the default mode network. And it runs a lot of the time in our brains. It does it to save energy. Your brain is, I don't know what size of an organ it is, like first, second, third, but it uses about 30% of your body's energy. And so it goes on autopilot. And so a lot of times for the people that make it to Honey Lake, we've just kind of been on autopilot and we've just been on survival mode, kind of. I just gotta get through this day. I got through this day, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, I just gotta get through this day. So, these are some things that you might discover about yourself while at Honey Lake. And then anytime I ask a question or say something like that, I'm always going to be like, okay, let's just talk about me, because I'm not going to talk about anybody else. Let's talk about me. Very codependent. Definitely discovered that. Lacked emotional intelligence. No control over my emotions. My emotions ran the show. Reactionary. Goes hand in hand with being lacking emotional intelligence. Or, like me, you may realize that you don't even really know who you are. Like, how did I make it to 38 years old? Me again. How did I make it to 38 years old? And I don't know anything about me. I lost it a long time ago, and instead of experiencing the pain to deal with the trauma, I learned how to go on autopilot and just make it. And then along the way, that's why I tell my story, going to prison, other failed relationships, detoxes that were just a nightmare. All those things just kind of pushed me farther away from myself because I wasn't trying to do anything about it. Again, the emotions were running the show. But while I was here, I'm kind of like, this is just, God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, at least this time in my life. It's kind of just comes natural to me. I was almost doing it while I was here. Just encourager. I'm a good reframer for other people. Hey, let's look at that situation a little different. Come on. It's just what I do. And I had a lot of people here. I'd been to prison. And so some of these younger people come in here feeling like this is jail. I got to do 30 days here. I'm like, whoa. I get it. It sucks being away from your family, but this ain't no jail. This ain't a lot of the other mental facilities. If you go to a state-run mental facility, you likely have trauma from that. Sometimes that even exceeds the original trauma in the first place. I've heard terrible stories. One of my very good friends, while I was here, we still stay close, probably talk to each other about every couple weeks via text, but we stay in touch. she had been to a bunch of them because after she went to the first one, everything got way worse. And so she just kept going to different ones, and just trust me, this place is a godsend. Okay, you do have to be away from your family, yes, but this place is a godsend. What a great place to work on yourself. Hardest part, one of the hardest parts is coming through the gates. But you'll face plenty of hard parts while you're here, but you'll learn new ways of handling those things. All right. So I had people, I got sidetracked, didn't even talk about the thing. People coming up to me while I'm here, we're just going together. We would just talk, and they'd come up to me, thank you so much. Thanking me? I didn't do anything. Like, you don't even know, like, I could never deserve thanks. Like, I wouldn't say that, but that's kind of like how I was acting. I hadn't yet learned ambivalence. So I started praying this prayer. I encourage you to pray this prayer. Probably added to my life change. I said, God, allow me to see myself the way you see me. And then I started thinking that might be a tall order because I don't know if we'll ever be able to see things like God. Then let me at least see myself the way these other people see me. They're saying thank you. They must think that I'm at least an okay guy, but the way I saw myself, I was not an okay guy. I was my choices in my mind. I hadn't yet realized that I was a guy who made those choices. All right. These are some of the things that happened by the time I left, and then they got solidified and just grew and cascaded into other things. But I started to realize that I had self-worth, that I was worth putting in the effort for. Started realizing that God could still use me. I know when y'all heard my testimony, that's what I wanted to do as a little kid, was be an evangelist, but that got ripped away when the stuff happened. So God could not use me after that. 10 years old, life. But then I started to say, maybe God can use me. Somebody asked what I was going to do when I got out. I said, I don't know. He said, have you ever thought of being a peer support specialist? And I said, what's that? He said, well, basically, it's kind of like, I can't say a peer counselor, like a coach. And the requirements are, I said, yeah, because I don't have any schooling. He said, you have to have struggled with depression or addiction. Like, check. He's like, you have to have gone to a rehab. Check. Then you have to live in recovery for 2 years. Okay, I can do that. So I'm starting to realize I could actually do that. He said, also, it's a bonus if you've ever been to jail. And I was like, check. I got a few checks. But I started seeing that, like, God can actually use the stuff that it doesn't have to be a waste. So that's when I started my journey to seek out my purpose. I hadn't yet become the man of God that I wanted to, but I knew that I wanted nothing more. I was only at the beginning of the journey. I lost myself a long time ago, like I just had talked about. And what we just talked about last week was the neural pathways. I realized that all I got to do is create these new neural pathways, which is why I realized I cannot go back to Texas. Because my neural pathways with Austin and Houston and drugs were strong. I wasn't on drugs 24/7 for 25 years, obviously, but even just when I wasn't on them, I was thinking about them a lot. Wishing I had them, feeling low because I didn't have them, trying to get them. Just ran a lot of my life. I realized I made the right choice couple times. God was winking at me the whole time. I moved to Jacksonville, like I said. But I knew that I made the right choice when I went back to Austin 9 months later to get my peach business going. And I'm just driving down the highway and I passed that exit sign that led to the dope house. And that first time I had a craving the whole 9 months. We could pull in real quick, get a little Xanax real quick. I didn't stop, I just kept going, but like that's just how neural pathways work. So I just knew I gotta create these new neural pathways. In this scripture, I definitely say this a lot, the be not conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. New neural pathways. I can do this. I told y'all I felt better than I ever felt, so I was just like, if I can like partially hold on to this, I'll be good. I'll be good. And I've said to a few people, but they showed me a TED Talk when I was here, and they said it was 1% better. Essentially, apply yourself at anything, get 1% better every day, 1% better than the day before, the next day 1%, exponential growth. In a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. I'm like, that's a tall order. 37 times better for just 1% a day? I can do 1% a day. So I got out the calculator because I didn't quite believe them. And I did the little equation. The math people, you know what I'm talking about. But trust me, I pushed the equal sign 365 times because I really wanted to see a year. I didn't want to, no estimating. 37.4. That motivated me because I can do 1%. I can't do, in my mind, 37. I can't become 37 times better, but I can do 1% better than the day before. When you leave Honey Lake, you're going to feel like I felt, like I am good. I don't need to keep taking those walks like Matthew said. I don't need to keep going to the gym. I don't need to keep getting sunlight. I don't need any of that because I feel great. I feel incredible. I'm not going to waste my time doing that stuff. I'm going to enjoy life. You're not there yet when you leave, okay? So keep whatever you start here. That's why I preach routine so much. Whatever you start here, keep it going when you leave. And like I said, if you get to the end and you say, man, I didn't create any routines while I was here. Yes, you did. 3 of the most important ones. Going to bed at a good time, waking up at a good time, I guess 4. Getting sunlight in your eyes within the first hour of the day, and then that morning walk is just added bonus, cherry on top. Keep doing those things when you go home, and you can, that's just for starters, okay? But I explained this to a couple people. What's happening here, like I said, exponential growth. So when you're here, it's kind of, you just might be here when you leave Honey Lake. And if you've been down here, if this is normal and you've just been living not normal, way under, you just come up to here and you're like, oh man, that's good. I'll stay there. But there's so much more. You just got to keep. So the reason why I talk about this is for you to keep learning this stuff. Keep putting it in your head. You don't have to do 6 hours a day, but an hour a day. Find a good YouTube channel, find a couple, switch back and forth, listen to it on your way to work, something. But keep growing your understanding about mental health. So one of my most favorite guys, he gave me this diagram. And up here in our head, we have our beliefs. And all of our beliefs are put there by our experiences. Remember, I was talking about anytime you experience something, that you create a neural pathway. So up here on our belief are created by all the things that we've been through and our understanding of those things. There's a part of your brain called and I'll probably say it wrong, so Dr. Jennings, if you ever see this, I apologize, but the orbital prefrontal cortex. And it's a part of your brain that's kind of always scanning the environment. Am I safe? Am I safe? Do we need to sound the alarm? You might have seen them talk about the salience network. Do I need to activate all that? Are we good? And there's a part of your brain that's doing that all the time. And you're not consciously thinking about it, it just does it. And so it sends out that radar all the time. And so everything that bounces back comes through the filter of the things that you believe. So what you have to do is you start having, and this is what Honey Lake provides. It's like before I came into Honey Lake, that I couldn't make it through a day without alcohol or drugs, something. Or I could, but it was going to be a miserable day. I was going to have a rough one at it. But then seriously, that was my belief. Every day, I got to have something. So if I woke up in the morning and didn't have something, that's first thing, have something. So I didn't run out much. But I came to Honey Lake and I started having these whole days, 24-hour days, where I didn't have a substance. You know what I'm talking about, illicit substance that's getting me high. I didn't have any of that. And I got through the day, and not only did I get through the day, I had a pretty good day. So I created all these different beliefs. So now, when I left Honey Lake, that radar bounces, it sees the world differently. Does that make sense? So before, my radar was, and my filter was, I'm a loser, I'm a piece of crap. Try not to say that too much, but that's how I felt. Like, I'm an addict, never be anything, nobody loves you. And so when I saw the world, it bounced back through all of that. And so I didn't think I could accomplish anything. My confidence was really low. But now I started seeing the world differently. Man, I don't need a drug or alcohol. I could do that. I could do that. I could go on vacation to a place where you can't drink or smoke. I can do that now. All right.